Hi folks, Marty here, and today we're going to take a look at a wee snow scene that could be used for a Christmas card. Although I will be painting it a little bit bigger, but it's the kind of thing that if you do it at a decent size, you can always scan it in or photograph it and print it out smaller. At the end of the day, it's always best to work with a size that you're comfortable with. So this is it all sketched out, and I've masked in just the tops of the brick wall here where I want to preserve to give the effect of snow later on. And I've sketched in some sheep here as well, and I've masked them as well as some of the roofs of the houses here. And this is a wee farmer taking the sheep up to the house. So here we go folks, we're just going to dive into this. I haven't planned this out in terms of the colours I'm going to use or anything like that, so we'll see how we get on. So first up, I've got some old paint that's been knocking around my palette here, so I don't want to get rid of that right away. This is kind of colours that can be really handy, but what I want to do is I want to get a quick wash over that sky with clean water. Well, clean, dirty-ish, you know. When I say clean, dirty-ish, what I mean is not laden with paint or pigment, but if you have some slightly dirty stuff on your palette there, you can use that because it is a winter scene and the sky is not going to be completely clear. It's going to be very overcast. I'm just going to bring that down to the tops of those roofs there. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Just make sure you have enough water on there, but not too much. You're working with the sheen of your paper. Okay, I'll do that, and then I'm just gonna put a wee drop of water in my palette here. I'm gonna put a bit of you can either use raw sienna or yellow ochre. And then I'm going to throw a wee drop of red in there, just to warm that sky up. And I just kind of load the brush up, and I might actually switch to one of my mops here. That can carry just so much more water. This is me mucking around with trying to get the right quantity onto my brush, you know. Just load her up. And then bring it down to the horizon there. Just cut in around that house there. It's like a little farm cottage, let's say. And maybe I'll just go in that with a bit more raw sienna there. I want this to be nice and dark at the top, and the reason being is because when you've got that overcasty, very dark skies, it's very snow laden. and when we put our snow effect on later on, I want that nice strong contrast. Put a bit more of that down there near the horizon end of things. Alright, so that should diffuse nicely. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to throw a wee bit of maybe some kind of bits of blue on my palette here. Maybe add a wee bit more to those. Make it look like heavier clouds at the top there. So any blue or lavender or anything like that. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry naturally there. And what I'm going to do is make up some colours for the trees that we're going to have on the horizon here. So I want these to be pretty dark, so you could use a ultramarine there and one of your yellows. You want a nice strong colour here. Okay, I'm just going to drop that in like that. Maybe a bit more ultramarine there, and I go into one of my browns here. Give me a more pigment saturated colour. And drop that in around the bottom here, just make it look like there's different layers and levels to the forest here. And if there's too much pulling going on, just use a dry kind of brush, just mop that up. Okay, now I want something that's a lot of pigment in here now. So plenty of that ultramarine there, and any brown there. I'm just going to drop that in around the bottom here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is going to be soft tissue, and I'm going to just dab up around where those clouds are. Just to give the impression that there's light, the sun's kind of getting down, but it's kind of hitting the bottoms of those. Okay, I think I will dry that off now. Okay, and what we can do now is we can just do some tree work around the tops of those little farmhouses there. So again, I would mix up just something strong, this ultramarine and any of your browns there. Throw a bit of or maybe throw a bit of lavender in that too. Just helps to soften that up if it's starting to look too detailed on you. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is turn my attention to the wee farmhouse. I'm just kind of working my way down the painting. So we could use something brownish. just throwing a wee bit of different colours in here just to kind of help to break that up a wee bit. I don't mind this being a bit on the dark side, because when I start to put the snow on later on, it'll sit nicely against that. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just remove the masking at the top of that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make up a wee colour here. See, maybe a bit of cobalt, bit of lavender there. A wee bit of crimson. And this will be for the snow on the roof. It's just going to be nearly in shadow. And then a wee bit on that back roof there. And then what I'll do is I'll soften that up with a damp brush. And then what I'll do is I'll go into that colour again, a wee bit stronger this time. And it'll do for the underneath of the snow there, where it's in shadow, so to speak. So what we want to do now is just bring some shadow over those hills there. It's that same kind of colour idea again, you know, one of your blues with a wee bit of alizarin crimson. Okay, and this is the distant field or hill. I'm just going to bring it down on top of those bricks in that wall there. So this is going to be a mixture of browns and so on. Put a wee drop a blue in with that. Just drop it in there like that, so. And what I'll do now is I think I'm going to put a wee bit of that shadow colour just underneath the shape there. I'll probably have the light source coming this way maybe. I think what we need to do here, to make that wall stand out, I think what we need to do is maybe put a bit of shadow behind it. So what we'll do is we'll just drop a bit of clean water in there, and then we'll drop some of our colour down. And I think we'll do the same maybe up here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll remove the masking tape or masking fluid from the sheep. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a wee drop of water at the top of the sheep, where the light would hit it. And then I'm going to mix up a wee bit of raw sienna or yellow ochre, just depending what you have in your palette. And I'm just going to drop that in like that. It'll not look like much at the minute until I start putting in the shadow and the dark bits. But I'm just trying to keep that top edge kind of white to make it look like the sun or the light is hitting it. And then I'm just gonna grab some of my darker stuff, some of that browny kind of colour. And I'm just going to put that on down around the bottom of the shape. And now what we're going to do is just pop on some shadow underneath the back part there. And then the legs. Just trying to get a strong mix, but not too strong. And then I'm going to use that same dark colour for the wee dog here. Remember, it's just the impression you're given here, okay? So it doesn't have to be greatly detailed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put just a wee bit of detail work around these bricks here. You don't want to overdo this because it is a sort of a loose, impressionistic painting here. The danger is to get too detailed and draw attention to the brickwork rather than what's going on in the painting. like a wee colour that's going to give me the appearance of wood. These are some telegraph poles up the back here. Okay, so what I need to do now is just turn my attention back to the house here, okay? So obviously he's leading the sheep back up into the farmyard here. He's maybe keeping them behind the farmhouse. But what we want to do is give it the impression that he's coming near the house. So we want a bit of an orangey light. So I'll drop that in like that. And let's try not to overdo this, you know. Okay, what I think we need to do now is get a wee bit of shadow in around the farmhouse. Okay, I think some detail now around that little farmhouse would be useful. Let's see. So we'll put some up near the chimney here. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull out some wee bits of brushwork in the trees here. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to drop a bit of shadow down that foreground there. I think what would be nice here is just have a wee figure, maybe waiting in the doorway. Maybe it's his wife. So just a bit of gouache. And what I want to do is we drag out a few wee bits of white trees and so on that have been hit by the snow, or it could be even silver birch or something like that. Okay, so what we want to do now is with a kind of long brush. I say long, I mean long hair, and then just trying to get this so it's just a fine spray. So there you go, folks, that's my little Christmas card of a little farmhouse with the farmer bringing some of the sheep back, and the wee wife, she's in the kitchen with the apple pie and the coffee ready to go. So folks, have a wee go at that, and don't forget, just mix it up a bit, you know, if there's any elements you would like to see in your painting, go ahead and do that. And don't forget to like and subscribe, the usual stuff. And if there's anything you'd like to see painted, do let me know. And until next time, folks, keep them brushes wet and take care of yourself.